how do you sell this kind of human? A monster stood before my cage, asking about my price. I sat alone inside, lazily eating lychees. He can peel lychees, how impressive. That kind of fine motor skill is something only humans can do. He started eating. What a tiny appetite humans have. He's already full after just 5 fish, 3 plates of roasted meat, 2 boxes of date cake, and a dish of lychees. He let out a satisfied belch. Was that him finishing? He was smiling at me, and it made my heart melt. But then she caught sight of the price tag, and she backed away. Too expensive. Can't you lower it a little? I really do like this human. Today's even my birthday. 110 taels. A bone demon stood at the entrance. She wore a crimson gown that trailed to the floor, her hair adorned with flowers. I'll take him, haha. He'll be a perfect match for my little lady at home. They can have lots and lots of little human babies. The other monsters exchanged envious looks. Li Dadan. Lots and lots of little human babies. Having babies. Absolutely not. That is absolutely not happening. My name is Li Dadan, a young Taoist of the 21st century. To help my senior sister pay off a debt, I had no choice but to enter this mysterious game space. This time it was an S-rank dungeon called East City West City, and the objective was to capture the heart of a designated master. The moment I logged in, I found myself trapped in a cage. In my dazed state, I was bought and taken home by someone, and now they wanted me to have babies. Absolutely not. On the street stood an elegant residence, the plaque above the gate reading By Manor. That was the bone demon's home. She hummed to herself as she stepped down from the carriage, and called into the house, "Little nun, look what I brought you. This is your husband." Outrageous. The system had sealed my abilities, and if the bone demon tried to force me into anything, I had absolutely no way to fight back. But when I got inside, I found myself looking at an old acquaintance. Shenyan, the second-ranked player on the Asia leaderboard, absurdly powerful. Shenyan was draped across a reading couch, flipping through a scroll. She looked up at the sound, revealing beautiful eyes and a small red mole at the corner of one. The bone demon stood 4 meters tall. Her manner was enormous. She seemed to have a deep fondness for humans, and had specially built a comfortable, elegantly furnished little cottage just for them. Thoughtful of her. At night I slept on the floor while Shenyan took the bed. All was peaceful at first. But partway through the night, half asleep, I became aware of breathing beside me. I opened my eyes to find Shenyan lying at my side. She opened her eyes and pressed a finger to her lips, then quietly pointed toward the window. A pair of green eyes peered at us from outside. Those were the bone demon's eyes. She was the one who had moved me to the bed, and now she was openly watching us, waiting for us to produce a baby. I lay there stiff as a board, too mortified to move. The sound of Shenyan's steady breathing filled the air. She seemed to have fallen asleep. She was remarkably relaxed about all of this. Half a shikin passed. The bone demon finally couldn't hold out any longer. After several big yawns, she reluctantly left. Shenyan, her arm pinning mine down, slept soundly through the whole thing. In the book, the bone demon had picked up a number of techniques. One evening, a lit incense stick came sliding through the window, its pale smoke curling through the air and filling the room with an intoxicating fragrance. Before long, a restless heat began spreading through me. My eyes drifted toward Shenyan sitting cross-legged on the bamboo mat. Her skin was luminously pale, her eyes half closed in concentration, her features strikingly beautiful, like some dangerous, beguiling flower. My face went red. I yanked the blanket over my head and shook it vigorously, trying to shake the strange thoughts out of my mind. A faint sound came from beyond the blanket. Shenyan was reciting sutras to suppress the effect. Taking her cue, I steadied myself, threw off the blanket, sat up properly, and began chanting my own incantations. And so the two of us sat, one reciting the Heart Sutra, one chanting spells, gradually draining away the restlessness inside us. Outside the window, the bone demon's bewildered gaze moved back and forth between us. After a long while, she withdrew. She thought, "I've tried everything I know and I still can't get these two to have a baby." She paced in anxious circles. She had imagined that once we produced a little human baby, she could ask for one as a gift, but we simply refused to cooperate. So she went to consult her friends, the Willow Demon and Banjiki. The Willow Demon said, "My little human is always screaming. I planted it in the yard and watered it and fertilized it and weeded around it and caught bugs for it and made sure it got sunlight. Why does it keep cursing at me? That won't do at all. Humans are very delicate creatures. Look, it says right here that humans need to sleep in a bed at night, with warm and comfortable bedding. Willow Demon, you really are dense. You can't plant a human in soil. My little human has been very well behaved. Hasn't made any fuss in a long time. Perfectly still and quiet. Not moving at all. Has it been moving to eat or drink? I've never fed it anything at all. You know how we spirit creatures are? We don't eat. That won't do either. The book says humans need to eat every day. If they go without food or water, they'll die. What a bunch of fools. Those two of mine are giving me headaches too. No little human children means I can't keep my promise. I have no choice but to give you away. Wonderful. I finally won't have to be part of her schemes every night." The next day, misty rain drifted through the air. I was stuffed into a cage by the bone demon and taken out. Li Ting was the wealthiest young lady in East City, though she had a rather reclusive personality. Her grandmother was stranger and stricter still. Whatever you do, don't provoke the old woman. She'll tear you to pieces. In this dungeon, humans could understand what monsters said, but monsters couldn't understand humans. Li Ting was lonely. Be sure to keep her good company. When we arrived at the Li estate, the bone demon handed me over at the door and immediately fled, as though afraid of something. A resounding thud. The enormous copper gate slammed shut behind me. The black cat steward picked up my cage and made her way deeper into the manor. Something about it was strange. The estate was richly appointed, yet the light was dim throughout. An oppressive, somber heaviness hung over the whole place. The further in you went, the more frightening it became, as though something man-eating waited at the end. The system's mechanical voice sounded for the first time in a while. 31 players deceased, 19 players remaining. So many more had died. Had they been eaten by their owners? In the days before, the bone demon had been counting on me to produce a baby. I was a person of upright character. There was nothing I could do to satisfy her. Now, I had to win the complete and wholehearted love of a new owner. We arrived beneath a banyan tree, where a figure sat with her back to me, drinking tea. She was covered in white fur. The black cat steward announced, "Miss, Bone Demon Bai Changqian has brought you a gift. Something sent by Bai Changqian?" As I came out, I accidentally caught my foot on the cage door and stumbled. The tea spilled. A large stain spread across the new owner's beautiful silk dress. "This gift looks quite delicious. Shall I add something to Mrs. Supper tonight?" "Ah, wait. My flesh is rank and tough. I wouldn't taste good at all." "Ami, don't frighten him. How adorable, how adorable, how adorable." My new owner, Li Ting, was a white cat, 5 meters tall, snow white all over. She looked immaculate. She had a pair of ice blue eyes, beautiful ones, but she was blind. That evening, Miss Li Dadan is here. And so Li Ting and I sat down to dine together. She delicately nibbled at the fresh fish on her plate with small, elegant bites. I stared at what was in front of me. A large raw fish, bloody, organs intact and unremoved. "Not to your liking, my little guest?" I jumped into her hand and gestured wildly. "I want it cooked." Cooked means roasting it over fire, and ideally with some salt on top. I spoke while miming flames burning and salt being sprinkled. Communicating between us was a significant challenge. She couldn't understand a word I said, and she couldn't see my gestures either. "Haha, he wants to eat dirt. That can't possibly be dirt. I understand what he means. Finally, someone smart." I let out a sigh of relief and went back to my little chair. A moment later, a servant arrived carrying a basin of earthworms. I stared at it in despair. I was going to starve to death. There was simply no getting through to any of them. Then, the steward smiled and brought out a golden glistening roasted fish. The heat was perfect, I had to admit. Even if she enjoyed a good joke, she was sharp. Suddenly, an announcement came from outside the door. "Quick, prepare supper. The old mistress has returned. The old mistress is particularly fond of organs. Raw is best." The servants flew into motion. My heart sank. The bone demon's warning echoed in my mind. "Whatever you do, don't provoke the old woman. She'll tear you to pieces." A sneeze. I seemed to be detecting the presence of a human. And with that, Li Ting's grandmother, an elderly cat demon leaning on a cane, made her way through the door. Her steps were slow and halting, her body frail with age, but her gaze was sharp and her expression dark. Her arrival made the entire estate fall absolutely silent. "Grandmother, this is my treasure. You mustn't eat him." "Foolish child. Do you think your grandmother would put such a filthy thing in her mouth? Humans are sly, despicable, and conniving. Revolting creatures. Eating one would upset your stomach. A sneeze? Besides, I have a fur allergy. We can't keep anything dirty in this house. Sell it off to West City. The demons of West City will tear him apart, grandmother. Please. I beg you not to do this. Please let me keep him. I promise not to cause you any trouble." "Very well, I'll leave it to you. But if this crafty little creature causes any mischief, I will tear him to pieces myself." I stared ahead in despair. I thought to myself, I cannot be a well-behaved child. The system said eating a chewy fruit would restore my abilities. I had to find one. Late that night, while the demons had all fallen into sleep, I quietly crept out from under the covers. I ran as fast as I could, but I wasn't familiar with the layout, and the faster I ran, the more turned around I got. Without realizing it, I had ended up in the old mistress's chambers. I heard voices inside. "Yesterday I ate half a human. Quite good, actually. You really ought to try some. The reason I entered into dealings with you was my contempt for humans, not because I have any appetite for them." How very rigid of you. True, unadulterated hatred of humans really is rare. Yes, young Miss Ting's eyes were blinded by a human, weren't they? And yet that child still longs to keep one. She must have forgotten what happened when she was small. But let us return to the matter at hand. East City currently has 12 humans. In half a month, the Li Estate will be hosting a fresh fish banquet, and 11 of the humans' owners will be attending. While their owners are away, have your people slip in quietly and steal those wretched creatures. Why only 11? What about the last one? Ha ha ha. The last one is right there listening, isn't it? I'd been discovered. A paw snatched me up. The one holding me turned out to be Li Ting. She pressed a finger to her lips. Then she walked toward the old woman who had just stepped out into the courtyard. She tucked me inside her wide silk sleeping robe and said, "Grandmother, why are you still awake?" The old woman said, "What are you doing here at this hour? What brings you to my rooms?" Li Ting said, "I had a nightmare. I dreamed you were ill." The old woman said, "Your grandmother is perfectly sturdy. It's late. Go back and rest. Escort the young miss back to her room to sleep." Back in her room, Li Ting dismissed the servants and lifted me out from her robes. She set me down on the bed. Dawn was almost breaking. There was no time left. Tomorrow night I absolutely had to get the moonlight herb. Only by eating it could I restore some of my abilities. The next day, my little owner kept me in her sight the entire time, terrified something might happen to me. Old Lady Li had also sent a calico cat to keep a close eye on me, equally terrified I might let something happen to the little miss. I stayed obediently at Li Ting's side, never moving more than a step away. I walked with her, and quietly scattered small stones along the path as I went. Night fell quickly. Once Li Ting was asleep, I carefully got up and slipped out of the room. I dodged the servants keeping watch through the night, shook off the old mistress's surveillance, and followed the trail of stones at a run. I escaped the Lai estate. The demon world was vast. I ran for 2 full shiken. Then, in the distance, thunder rolled. It wasn't going to rain, was it? If rain came, the moon would be hidden, and the moonlight herb would vanish. But I didn't stop running. I had made it this far. I might as well at least try. The moon broke through the clouds, full and brilliantly bright. On the cliff face, a single translucent celestial herb glowed with radiant light. I wrapped a vine tightly around my waist, and carefully reached out toward the moonlight herb. Almost. Still just out of reach. I had it. Then from above came a cat's cry. It was the calico spy the old mistress had sent. It said, "Humans really are deceitful and treacherous." Then it sliced through the vine with one swift cut. The wind howled. I fell, but I didn't die. I caught on a crooked little tree jutting from the cliff face. I was covered in wounds, but my hand was still clenched tightly around the moonlight herb. The system's voice sounded, "Congratulations. Player has obtained the item, Chief Fruit, Moonlight Herb. This item can restore 50% of the player's abilities, or restore sight to those who are blind. There is only one stalk of this herb. Please choose carefully." I looked up, about 20 meters to the top. Then I looked down at the mountain below, lost in mist, depth impossible to gauge. If only I were inside a wuxia novel. Falling wouldn't kill you there, and you'd probably find a white-bearded old man and a secret manual on the way down. I laughed wryly at myself, took the herb between my teeth, and decided to start climbing. If I fell, I'd swallow it. If I managed to climb up, I'd give it to Li Ting. After all, if not for her last night, I'd already be dead. My fingers bled. The tips of my shoes wore through. Twice I nearly lost my grip, but I made it. By the time I got back to the Lai estate, it was already afternoon. Seeing me, battered, Black Cat Steward cast a look of astonishment and said, "So you finally decide to come back? Do you have any idea how many tears the young miss shed for you? Wait, where are you going?" I immediately ran to Li Ting's room. Sunlight filtered through the window. Li Ting sat silently beside it, tears falling without a sound. Her ice-blue eyes looked like rivers. When she heard me return, she said in a hoarse voice, "I thought you didn't want me anymore." I coaxed her quickly and said, "What an adorable big cat." Then I proudly held up the moonlight herb and said, "Eat this and you'll be able to see again." I worked incredibly hard to get it. I went on and on about it, but unfortunately she couldn't understand a word. The Black Cat Steward then applied medicine to my wounds. Part punishment and part care, she wrapped me up thoroughly in bandages. At dinner, I placed the moonlight herb in Li Ting's dish. Rude little human. How dare you reach into the young miss's plate? I gestured to try to explain that eating this would heal her eyes. After a long struggle of miming, a servant said, "I understand. He says the herb is tender and delicious. So good it would make you cry." No. He says the herb tastes terrible and would make you want to cry. He won't eat it. He wants the young miss to eat it. What kind of translation is that? I was on the verge of losing my temper. He says this herb can restore sight to the blind. Yes. I nodded rapidly with great enthusiasm. Can it really restore my sight? You must be saying this to make me happy. I promise this time it will work. Trust me. She had tried countless times before, and every attempt had failed. She had long since stopped hoping. If only you promise not to leave me, I'll try. Ah, my eyes, they hurt. Go and fetch every physician in the city at once. I was locked in the cage. I sat inside feeling uneasy. Was the system actually toying with me? Then old Lady Li, who had been out attending a banquet, came rushing back in a panic. What on earth has happened? Old mistress, thank goodness you're back. When she found out I was at the center of it, her gaze cut through the crowd and landed on me. The hatred in it burned. She looked ready to tear me apart on the spot. Old mistress, the young miss is completely taken with him. If you kill the one her heart is set on, she will hate you for it. Wait until the young miss is recovered before making any decision. Old Lady Li flicked her sleeve. The Black Cat Steward was sent crashing hard into the wall, coughing up a mouthful of blood. Thanks to the Black Cat Steward drawing her attention, I seized the moment, clambered out of the cage, and bolted toward the door. Old Lady Li thrust out her claws and came lunging for me. I was a hair's breadth from death when a white shape flung itself in front of me. It was Li Ting. "Grandmother, don't kill him." She ignored the pain, bent down and scooped me up. It was only then that Old Lady Li noticed something was different. "Child, you can see." Li Ting startled. In her panic to save me, she hadn't even registered that her sight had returned. It was only when her grandmother pointed it out that she understood. Ha 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 ha. It was the little human who cured my eyes. His celestial herb gave me back my sight. At those words, Old Lady Li looked a little flustered. "How should I compensate you? Quick, bring this little human the freshest, most delicious fish we have, the kind with the organs still inside, nice and slippery." I rolled my eyes. Who said I liked that? After curing Li Ting's eyes, I became the Li estate's most treasured guest. Even the notoriously stern Old Lady Li couldn't hide her fondness for me. She reached out a cat paw and patted my head, saying, "Who would have thought a human's hair would feel so silky and smooth? What a wonderful texture. Such a shame I'm allergic to human fur." Then later she asked me warmly, "Have you eaten? What did you have? Was it good? Oh, you're yawning. Are you tired? Would you like to go to sleep?" It was then I noticed the jade bracelet on her wrist. It looked exactly like the chiwai fruit Shenyan had mentioned. "Don't touch that. It's a keepsake from the old mistress's daughter, her most precious possession." She slid the bracelet off. A flicker of reluctance passed through her eyes. She turned it over in her thoughts for a long moment, then said, "There are plenty of jade bracelets in this world. Grandmother will buy you a whole basketful tomorrow, all right?" In the blink of an eye, 10 days passed. I had settled into a comfortable life at the Cat Demon Manor with food and drink aplenty. Then Shenyan appeared at the window. She said, "The demons of West City are getting restless. I've come to exchange information. The next city is divided into East City and West City. The demons of East City see humans as beloved pets. The demons of West City see humans as food. Players who landed in West City were in survival mode. Lived 10 days and you cleared it. And you landed in East City were in conquest mode. Since humans were so rare, West City had eaten through its own supply and was now setting its sights on East City. They had heard that Old Lady Li despised humans and wanted to work with her from the inside to steal East City's humans away. You should know, a pair of eyeballs goes for 50 gold at the restaurants in West City. For some reason, Old Lady Li has changed her mind. I imagine you know why," I said, "because my charm is simply too overwhelming. She couldn't bring herself to give me up." At that, Shenyan choked on her tea. Old Lady Li had terminated her dealings with West City. West City, denied their mouthful of human meat, was planning to raise East City. I stared in disbelief. Seriously? All this over food? West City was fighting for a meal. East City was fighting for love. The demons of East City had deep affection for their humans. Ever since the Bone Demon had published the Human Care Guide 10 days before, the book had become enormously popular. The Bone Demon called out enthusiastically, "Human Care Guide. Grab a copy and get ahead. Whether or not you have a pet, everyone needs one." The Willow Demon's human was player Lu Wensheng. After carefully studying the care guide, she dug Lu Wensheng out of the soil in her garden, and even built him a grapevine swing. Under the Willow Demon's expectant gaze, Lu Wensheng sat in the swing with considerable reluctance. Banjiki's human was player Chun Riying. Having learned that humans needed to eat every day, she attempted to cook for her. After blowing up the kitchen 7 times in a row, she gave up and went to the owner of the human pet shop to buy human food. Sweet and sour pork ribs, crab roe tofu, garlic butterfly shrimp, grape wine, and durian egg tarts. Chun Riying gained 8 jin. Banjiki was reserved and not good at expressing herself. Chun Riying was warm and vivacious. After eating her fill, she insisted on falling asleep draped across Banjiki. Banjiki, worried she would find the hard surface uncomfortable, carefully laid a small blanket over herself, worried she would get too warm. She even borrowed a woven fan from the Willow Demon. The Pig Demon at the human pet shop eventually bought player Ruan Xiaoyu too. The Pig Demon loved beautiful things, and Ruan Xiaoyu wore a different outfit every single day, all completely different styles, all equally charming. The two-faced ghost who owned the shop might have loved money, but she didn't mistreat anyone. The humans in her shop were fed delicious things every day. Like Chun Riying, most of them put on considerable weight. The players lived in genuine comfort. What they didn't know was that a battle was approaching. 38 players deceased, 12 players remaining. All players in West City had been wiped out. That day, dark clouds gathered. The midday sky went as black as midnight. A wave of murderous intent surged in from the west. Ever since I cured Li Ting's eyes, I had never been locked up again, but now I was locked inside the room. The Black Cat steward and over a dozen servants stood guard outside to protect me. East City's demons were struggling to hold on. Has the old mistress issued any instructions? The old mistress has been wounded. She can't get away. The young miss says humans aren't pets. They're friends, and they're family. She refuses to retreat. I paced frantically around the room and flung the pillow off the bed. What's that? A strange thought took shape in my mind. Congratulations, player has obtained a chi fruit, Lantian Warm Jade. Upon consuming, restores 100% of player's abilities. I thought back to the night before, when I hazily heard the sound of slow, faltering footsteps. I had figured that no matter how much old lady Li liked me, she would never give me something this precious. But she had. I didn't hesitate. I swallowed the chi fruit. In an instant, a surging power flooded back into me. I kicked the locked door open. The black cat steward nearly jumped out of her skin. She said, "How did you get out?" I stepped outside. Accompanied by the clear cry of a crane, a great celestial crane swept down from above. I climbed onto it and said, "I'm going to save grandmother and Li Ting." "What is he saying?" "He says he's going to save them." From high in the air I looked down. Ghost fire blazed at multiple points across East City. The sounds of battle rose and fell everywhere. "Where are the humans? Where are the delicious little humans?" The two-faced ghost shop owner burst out and said, "Curse Blade, I'll fight you to the end." But she had only just barely won her last fight. She was already badly wounded and utterly exhausted. Sure enough, before she could even close the distance, she collapsed. Haha, can't get at the humans, but a two-faced ghost isn't bad either. Curse Blade, the demon blade. Nothing could cut it or burn it. Only by finding the scabbard could it be contained. Where was the scabbard? The most dangerous place is the safest. The scabbard was probably hidden somewhere nearby by the blade itself. Surely that isn't the scabbard. That's the scabbard. Scabbard meets blade. And just like that, Curse Blade was easily contained. On the other side, Banjiki was surrounded by 3 goat demons wielding heavy hammers. At the moment of crisis, pale pink cherry blossoms suddenly scattered through the air. The petals landed on the goat demons. Before long, their skin turned a sickly, vivid rose. Blood began seeping out through their pores. "How is it you?" Lu Wensheng also rescued the willow demon, who had been beaten black and blue. Shenyan recited a sutra that destroyed the bone demon's enemies. Ruan Xiaoyu shielded the pig demon behind her, and took out a small monster with a single clean shot. All 12 surviving players were fighting in their own battles. And I found Li Ting and grandmother. Grandmother was locked in a fight with the split-mouthed songstress on the rooftop eaves. Li Ting led a group of the Manor's cat demons in battle against a pack of traffickers. By the time I arrived, old lady Li was gravely wounded. A devastating bolt of thunder split the sky. My wrath of thunder. The split-mouthed songstress was flung from the eave and hit the ground unconscious. The wounded old lady Li began to shrink. Smaller and smaller she became, from a towering cat demon down to something no larger than a human forearm. I jumped up onto the roof and said, "Don't worry, I'll protect you." We didn't share a language, but she understood. Down on the street, Li Ting and the cats were slowly losing ground. I raised my hand and formed the seal. 12 enormous fire talismans flew out of thin air. Karmic fire engulfed them. The talismans swept toward the scarecrows. All 12 burned to ash. By then, the black cat steward had arrived with the remaining cat servants. In our world, humans keep companions too. Cats, dogs, rabbits, turtles, parrots. They were never just company. They were always our friends, even when the species are different, even when the language is different. The time you share is brief and precious, just like you and us, in this world of yours. Thank you for protecting us all this time. Now please let the capable me protect you. The cat steward translated my words for them. I knew it. That guy could understand me all along. In the distance, dust and smoke billowed as more West City demons came surging in. All 11 of the other human players gathered at my side. Shenyan, in white robes, her sleeves drifting in the wind, like cloud, like mist. Cherry blossoms swirled from Lu Wensheng's tendrils moved all around him. Ruan Xiaoyu raised her sniper rifle. Shu Yuran's glasses caught the light, refracting mysterious runes no one could read. And I raised my hand and called the phoenix fire. The brilliant, many-colored divine bird shot into the sky with a cry, its call ringing through the heavens. Light broke through the clouds. The darkness was driven back. When the battle ended, West City had been routed. The demons stopped eating humans for the time being. The system issued an announcement. The current danger level of the East City, West City dungeon has significantly decreased, downgraded to a B-rank game. Instantly, thousands of new players were eager to try. Someone once asked me, Li Dadan, why did you give the moonlight herb to the cat miss? You were hanging off a cliff. You were barely alive yourself. Because that afternoon when I first saw her, I accidentally tripped over the cage door, I knocked over the teacup, and ruined her most beloved dress. When I was deciding whether or not to run, I saw the number above her head, affection 100%. Before I even tried to win her over, she already loved me completely. She had always adored humans with that much genuine warmth and sincerity. How could I let her down? Later, a friend of mine also passed through that wooden door. When he came out, she brought me a letter. The characters in it were crooked and uneven, clearly written stroke by careful stroke by someone just learning to write. The fresh fish is ready. When will you come back and try some? Every word in the letter was filled with clumsy, earnest invitation. At the bottom of the page were 2 plum blossom paw prints, one large and one small.